as my youth has always been at the Collingwood, within the Collingwood community, just because well, this is where I grew up. This is my home. I kind of miss I don't know, I miss the neighborhood because it's so green and so lush. You can walk places, and it's, I don't know, there's just a different energy in the air when you're here. I remember my dad, he started doing the carvings here at the neighborhood house for the totem pole at Sunella, like maybe 8 or 9 years ago, long time ago. Yeah. I do know that my mom was getting involved just by association with my dad. She started working here. Everyone would get me to sell their raffle tickets because I was the little kid that would be yelling up the hallways, "Who wants raffle tickets?" And everyone would buy them for me just because I was very boisterous, very young, and very, enthusiastic about selling these tickets. And I can't remember how many years. I think it was at least 3 years that I sold the tickets for. Well, growing up as a little kid, I found that self-identity was not something that was very part of my life. I found that the best way to just get through life was to just listen, behave, keep your head down, quiet. I didn't really think about culture back then. It was not really something that was really a huge part of my life, because when you're young, either you grow up with it or you learn it later on. I find that the more I do those things, the more I learn, because it's a two-way street. I'm an open book, so you can read and you can also write a little bit too. And that's part of my development, because I'm always learning, I'm always wanting to grow. Do you remember the beginnings of the canoe club? They didn't really it didn't really take off just because of the lack of interest that a lot of people had in it. I was excited, like I was like, wow, this is really cool. But it just never happened, and I took it with a grain of salt. I felt compelled to be here, to just, be around friendly people who kind of, smile at some of my cheeky remarks, who want me to be who I am, rather than, just to keep my head down and keep the questions at a minimum. That was when I started getting involved with the canoes, 7 or 8 years ago. That was when I first joined up with my first canoe journey. I only paddled for a couple of days, but they were very long days. Every year from that first journey, I started to go on these journeys. And the more I went on these journeys, I noticed something. I was not a bad guy. These people smiled around me, they wanted to hang out with me. I had friends. It was a wonderful experience to finally just feel where I can be accepted. I don't know if it was the water, I don't know if it was the canoes, I don't know if it was the nations I visited, but the culture just slowly started to seep into me. And it fills me to this day, because I can't foresee my life without the culture. And I can't help but feel that maybe if I hadn't discovered the joys, that maybe I would be among them. And that's something I will always be grateful for. I'll always be grateful for the salvation that I found here.